Yo, what's going on, everybody? Happy Monday. Welcome back to the 10 Minute Mailbag. This is your MLB The Show series where I take your questions from YouTube and Discord and I answer them like a person answers questions, like a smart, thoughtful, responsible, caring individual answers questions of people he cares about. This community kicks ass, so I love giving back and I love having these conversations with you. We got 3 questions on deck. Let's get to them. They're over here. 10 minutes on the clock, boys and girls. It is a big week for MLB The Show, and guess who uploads 5 times this week? Me! I did! We're going to start with our very first question, and we're going to get that timer going, all right? So 3, 2, 1, begin. And that first question today comes from Danny Betts. Danny says, my king is here, collecting Kyron Paris, but he also says, at the bottom, also just realized the Flashback and Legend collection drops on the 25th, April 25th, this Friday. Hint, hint, number 25. So, I know Danny is not entirely 100% serious or convinced himself of this, but there have been a lot of clues all year to Barry Bonds. That will be the show 25. It had the gold emblem. Barry Bonds is like active in the baseball world again. It comes out on April 25th. There is 1.2% chance, just came up with it, 1.2% chance that this Legends and Flashback big collection will be Barry Bonds. Barry Bonds is the type of guy who is the cover of the game. He is all over the game's marketing. He is part of the pre-release cycle, the post-release cycle. He's doing commercials. He's going on late night. Barry Bonds is the face of the game, if it ever happens. I am not equating Barry Bonds and Derek Jeter as players. Very different. But think about how all over the place Derek Jeter was when he was on the Legends cover, or the collectible edition, whatever they called it. It would be that level of FaceTime plus more if Barry Bonds were ever in this game. You don't get his rights and then not put him on a cover. You know, Nutsy made a really good point on Twitter. Shout out to Nutsy as always. Sometimes contracts hit snags. Maybe he was supposed to be part of the pre-release cycle, but the contract wasn't finalized yet, and there for sure could be a world where that's the case. But in that case, I think they would try to pivot and just hold off until next year, because he sells units, or presumably would. Either way, it is a new Legend. If you go to the calendar, says it. Oh, my face is covering it. Please hold. Bang! 425, new Legend reveal. Well, it actually doesn't say that's for the collection. We're all assuming it will be. Adam Jones is for sure a possibility. He's been very vocal about wanting to be in the game. I don't know. I'm hoping there's more shortstop love. A Nomar Garciaparra, Troy Tulowitzki. Those are guys I would be hyped for. As long as it's not a pitcher, I'm hyped. It should be a 99, because all of these big collections typically are, but we're early in the power creep. We've never had a collection in April, so it could be like a 95. I wouldn't be stunned about that either. I would say at least 95, probably 99 for this collection. There will be a video on the channel on Wednesday morning about going through all of these categories and me kind of taking educated guesses on how many of each card you'll need to get the vouchers necessary to get the big boss man. But no, don't get your hopes up for Barry Bonds. If it is Barry Bonds, I will eat a Barry Bonds baseball card in a video. I mean, I'd be shocked. Don't hold me to that, because I don't want to have an upset tummy. But thank you, Danny. Thank you for your question as always. Next up, I don't know what happened to that. Oh, there it is. Sorry. Next up, live production here, people. From Det Die Hard. Why do you use the PCI that you use? And is it objectively better, or is it all preference at a high level? It's preference at every level. High level, low level, mid level, the best level, the worst level. It's all personal preference. I use a PCI that is admittedly very strange for a lot of people. Not a ton of people use the PCI I use. And I'm not trying to say it's because I'm better than everyone. It's just because it works for me. It works for me. So, my PCI is bang. Okay. We go diamonds. That's not weird. We go inner, none. That's the weird part. I want no inner PCI. Outer PCI is just basic. PCI color is green. Pick whatever freaking color you want. And PCI opacity, 40%. Just because I don't want it really in the way. PCI fade out, none. I want my PCI to remain visible at all times. The reason this is my PCI setup is because I like having a bigger window to view the ball in. That's why I have inner off, outer only. It doesn't make it any easier to hit. Certainly doesn't make me much better of a player. Though it's what makes me feel most comfortable. I've had experiences, and maybe it's not as big a deal for others, but it's been frustrating for me where I have inner on, and it actually makes me lose the ball because it's such a tighter window and it can kind of cover the release point depending on where I am. With a bigger window, it's easier to kind of maneuver it around. A lot of people say aim small, miss small, meaning if you use the inner PCI, or even if you turn the PCI inner and outer both off and you only use center, you're giving yourself a smaller margin of error because you're trying just to attack it right to the ball. Again, that's a preference thing. I'm still trying to attack the ball. I just happen to have little parentheses around my diamonds. It's all preference. It's all preference. Some people like to use the bat PCI. Some people like to use, what's it called, Starfighter. So that, Armada Squadron, gumdrop buttons. You can use whatever PCI you want. They all have funny names. I just keep it basic, but I like to have the window. I'd be very curious if anybody in the comments, if you guys also use outer only, inner none. Again, I think it's pretty unique within the community. It just has always worked for me. And I don't know why. I could not tell you. But that's what I use. So I hope that helped. Det Die Hard, use whatever makes you feel comfortable. End of the day, that's the most important thing. Last question today comes from Kevspan. Would love to hear your perspective on Randy and Donaldson coming back so soon after launch. Oh, do I have thoughts? Personally, I'm just really sick of seeing these pitchers nonstop in ranked MLB The Show 23. Last year, they released at launch. This year, they managed to wait almost a whole month before unleashing them. Yeah, it stinks. I am not a fan of it. It ruins the user experience for so many people. Let's take it from bottom to top. Players at lower ranks are likely, not a blanket statement, but likely stuck on lower ranks because they struggle hitting. That is always, that's like the cutoff point. If you can hit, you can climb the ranks. If you struggle hitting, it's going to be hard. Now you're adding Randy Johnson and John Donaldson, admittedly the two hardest pitchers to hit off of in this game, into the game at basically the same time. Not only that, you added Randy Johnson before the Weekend Classic, the day of the Weekend Classic, really, which is just a giant slap in the face to your player base. Mid-level players who are right on that precipice of like, man, I can almost make World Series. Almost there. You've now made it exponentially harder for them because of Randy and John Donaldson. And then go all the way up to the top ranks of Legend and especially GOAT. GOAT stinks. A lot of players don't like playing GOAT because it doesn't make sense. The PCIs don't exist. You're now adding Donaldson, who only spams sliders, outlier ones, and Randy Johnson to make PCIs, another slider pitcher, even smaller. You can't outright get rid of Randy and John Donaldson. They have their rights in the game. But I don't think anybody would have complained if we didn't see them until August. Give us a little time. Let us use other pitchers because now we are going to be using Randy, and I'm guilty of it. He's a competitive advantage. You can't just ignore him. And soon John Donaldson, I'm one card away, and they're going to be in our rotations for a long time. It makes the meta stale, quite frankly. And it makes hitting worse. Pitchers are already so overpowered right now in the game cycle. You don't need a ton of attributes to make a pitcher great. You just need velocity, sinker cutter, and a slider. And or a sweeper. And you have a great pitcher. A great pitcher who's going to mess people up. For a hitter, you need a lot more attribute help. You need vision. You need contact or power. You need clutch. You also have to be able to play the field and run. Like, those things are all important. On a pitcher, there are less variables that matter. Yes, hits per 9 would be nice. But if I throw 102 with outlier and a wipeout slider, my hit per 9 might not matter a ton. And I could only be like a 79 overall, and it'd still be pretty effective. That's the imbalance that exists in the power creep, and especially right now. The more overpowered pitchers they release, the worse hitting is going to feel until the hitters hit that like 94, 95 overall threshold. And then we'll start cooking. We'll start balancing things out. I always root to have more rights of players, not less rights of players, but I'm kind of excited for the day where Randy Johnson's rights are gone. And I don't know how the Negro League's agreement works with all these players and their contracts, but when that agreement ends, maybe the players are gone too. I don't know. I don't want to lose their history. I'm not advocating for that. But John Donaldson sucks to face, and it really creates an unfun, unfriendly meta. Co-op is just only going to be Randy and John Donaldson now, and co-op already has enough problems as is. It's really stinky. It's really stinky. So, my perspective is they should wait longer or don't renew their rights when it's time. Because we need to have different pitchers to use. We need to freshen things up. And we need to not discourage people from playing the game online, because Randy Johnson, John Donaldson, they already discourage enough. There you have it. My thoughts on some things. Looking forward to content this week. I've already recorded everything, so that's fun. And tomorrow, the long-awaited, fun, unique podcast, guest that I keep teasing, because I don't know how calendars work and I kept confusing dates, aka Scarlett, MLB The Show's resident VTuber, is our guest on tomorrow's The Show, the podcast. So make sure you check in for that one. She is awesome. She's so much fun. Cool conversation. Check out her content. Either way, neither here nor there. Thank you for making it to the end of this episode. Another 10-minute mailbag in the books. Good luck with all your in-game pursuits this week. Love you guys. See you next time.